stay with us as we come back to you. Now we move on to our next news. Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei is accusing the West of using nuclear demands as a cover to target the Islamic Republic. Speaking in Tehran, he said nuclear program enrichment, human rights are all excuses. He claims the West's real issue is Islamic beliefs and scientific progress. This comes a day after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened fresh strikes if Iran restarts its nuclear work. Iran denies seeking nuclear weapons, but has stockpiled highly enriched uranium. Khamenei's comments follow a deadly war with Israel that has targeted key Iranian nuclear sites earlier. The tensions are now back in the global spotlight. Let's have a look at what Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had to say.
به عنوان هسته‌ای و غنیسازی و امثال اینها حقوق بشر و این چیزها میگن بهانه است. اصل قضیه اونه و ملت ایران به توفیق الهی دین خود را و دانش خود را رها نخواهد کرد. جمهوری اسلامی و ملت عزیز ایران.
Now we're joined by Peter Cardillo. He's a chief market economist at Spartan Capital Securities, joins us live from New York. Now, Peter, thank you for joining us today. Good to see you. Now, how should Iran's government manage such high-stakes rhetoric to maintain credibility on international stage while accusing the West or U.S. of attacking its nuclear enrichment ambitions and Islamic beliefs?
Well, I think, the present situation, now that Trump is back in power, the Iranians know that he means business, and so they're looking to blame whomever they may and suggest that perhaps they're going to engage in some sort of political military advance, and that is just rhetoric on their part, obviously. And so, if that were to happen, obviously that would be quite negative in terms of oil prices. You could see oil prices shoot up well above 150, perhaps $200 a barrel. I don't think it's going to get to that, but Iran seems to have a good sense of rhetoric and pointing to the finger to everyone. And of course, they do it, I want to say, in a sort of quasi-diplomatic way without aggravating the other nations that are involved or that they are accusing of dragging Iran into some sort of a conflict. So I think, most of the rhetoric that comes out of Iran needs to be ignored. And I think the markets are doing that. If you see the recent trend in oil prices, they've been rather calm. And some of the headlines have not been as calm as the oil market has been as calm. So I think it's just a lot of rhetoric. I don't think it will get to an explosive move. But then again, Iran could be playing with fire here because Trump certainly wouldn't hesitate to impose stronger sanctions against them, and they would be in dire straits when it comes to their economic policies.
And Peter, now looking at a broader picture, in earlier when Israel was attacking Iran and the fighting was ongoing, Russia kind of suggested to intervene or give solutions there. So do you think that Russia will do that again here to give some kind of, how do you say it, like how Turkey, yeah.
But when the conflict began, remember that President Trump was not president. Since President Trump has taken office, things have turned somewhat murky with Putin. That is the relationship between Putin and Trump. And so I think here too, Trump is not going to aggravate the situation. Look, he's involved with the war with Ukraine. He certainly can't afford to open up any cans of worms, so to say, to get himself more deeper than he is. And he certainly, I think, he doesn't want to aggravate Trump in terms of the Israeli-Gaza situation. So, and of course, Iran as well. Of course, Iran will run to the Russians, and the Russians will comfort them. But by the same time, I don't think he goes much beyond the levels that he has, so that he doesn't, let's say, push this into a conflict that he would have a problem with.
Yes. Thank you so much, Peter Cordillo, for joining us and sharing your insight as a chief market economist. Now we move on to our next news.